Congressman Gosar, always good to talk to you.
Always a pleasure to be on, Jenny.
Pretty intense hearing, at times quite contentious. I got to ask you, though, did you leave there learning anything new?
Learning that he's more confused about the issues and doesn't have the facts right and comes to the committee hearings unprepared.
Yeah, and I really do think you said what I think a lot of people are saying and thinking about, and it's the way the administration is dealing with and handling this. As you said, we shouldn't be trivializing this, but that's what it looks like.
It's absolutely right, and we even saw it from the other side of the aisle in the ranking member's comments about, we know there's going to be collateral damage, and so am I collateral damage? Who in my district is going to be collateralized here? That's inappropriate. That's not what government should be doing.
But he just looks, and even the Terry family is talking about how, they called him a coward and that it's a joke how he's acting. He doesn't even mention their son's name. But he just looks so detached from reality.
Well, you're exactly right, Jenny. And, the question is that, if you're going to stop gun running, you don't just say, you just got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You put something behind it. All of us know that you put the impending penalty on there, and then people will stop. If you're found gun running, you're going to be subjugated to the same laws everybody else is.
Right, and you said that. Hey, are they? If whoever's involved, they're going to do time for the crime. And he just seems to think, as he kept telling you guys yesterday, well, we've made changes, we've moved staff around, as if that's the answer to the problem.
Well, and see, once again, he got caught again in that same thing, Jenny, and the fact that, here you got a guy that says he didn't know anything about Fast and Furious and gun running, and yet one of his chief deputies is in Mexico City in February when this letter has been concocted to Senator Grassley, pitching a ploy to the Mexican government to do an additional gun running program.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about Lanny Brewer.
Absolutely.
And Congressman Issa, right at the top of the hearing yesterday, he said that the more you as a committee have learned, the more it looks like Lanny Brewer, the head of the criminal division, is at the center of all this. Do you agree with that?
I want more, but because I find it extremely hard, Jenny, that the Attorney General didn't know something about this. And I go back to his comments in April of 2009 in Mexico City where he talks about an aggressive campaign in gun running. To me, something's wrong here. Particularly the president also making a statement a week later that supported the Attorney General in regards to this aggressive campaign that he was concocting with Secretary of Homeland Security Napolitano.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't buy that. And the other aspect is your chief of staff knew this.
Yeah.
And then his other comment that really got me too, Jenny, is that I get these updated reports every morning. I read them. I mean, he got very angry about that.
Yeah.
Well, you should have known that, and I feign to say that you did.
Yeah. And then he sits there, and he says, "Yes, I did learn about Agent Terry's murder the day that it happened." And then he admits, he didn't have the knowledge to follow up on something as important as this?
Absolutely. It does not make any sense to me whatsoever. And for an executive position, that's just out of whack.
Mm-hmm. And there's also memos that have surfaced. I know the Republican staffers have found that show Lanny Brewer in emails with ATF's Ken Melson it talked about how he thinks gun walking is a terrific idea.
Absolutely. And that's the sick part of this whole thing is not only are they out of one side of their mouth saying, we didn't know anything about it, then they're still pitching it.
Yeah. And then you've got, again, the Attorney General sitting there saying this is all about political gotcha games, and you have many of the Democrats on the committee there, really trying to hijack what's important. They want to say, hey, this is about politics. This is about this is pointless. What we really need to do is give the ATF the powers, the tool, and the authority they need, which include things like more gun restriction and the assault weapons ban. That's
exactly right. And you can see where they were targeting and seeing where they were trying to go, particularly Miss Maloney and Mr. Cummings. And my point was also made that if this case was done in, it occurred in New York and back east here, there have been a whole different set of circumstances and a lot more manpower and resources put towards this than what is happening out in Arizona.
You know, and I think when you talk to people, even if they don't know the specifics of this scandal, when you tell them that, for example, Congress has 6,000 documents and there's something like 70,000 documents, their first reaction is, well, why? What do they got to hide?
That's exactly right. But we also got to make sure that we tell people that the 6,000 pages are redacted
crossed
and
out.
Duplicative. So we might have 1,000 pages that are truly what are coming out of the 83,000 that the Inspector General has seen.
What do you think it's going to take to get those documents?
I think it's how the chairman started it off, the contempt clause. I think what you're going to start to see, and you even saw that the attorney tried to cover himself by saying I complied voluntarily. No, you didn't. You got served a subpoena, so are the subpoenas not going to you? How is that? What's going on? Are you really that disattached from the process and trying to thwart the way our Constitution is actually done?
And I've got to ask you, Congressman, when you talk about contempt of Congress, what do you do to move forward with that?
Going to the courts. And what you're doing is you're forcing a body to comply shakably through the courts.
You think you're going to be able to get it done?
I think we are, and I think that we can either do it the easy way or we're going to do it the hard way. And if it's the hard way, I think there's a lot more circumstantial problems that come with that.
I mean, Holder wasn't happy yesterday, and then he sits there and says, you ought to be talking about giving me some credit. How about that one?
Well, I tell you what, if I was the next person in line, I'd say, credit for what? Okay, so Black Panthers, you stand up for the Black Panthers. You're taking away, jurisdictions aspects of states to make sure that they comply with voting rights laws, to make sure that we actually have an identification when you come to the polls. Oh, and the NLRB. Oh, we can keep on going, sir. Suing the state of Arizona. What else? You want me to compliment for you that? I get more incensed, and I think the American people get more incensed with you.
Incensed, and I think frustrated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When it comes to moving forward with these contempt charges, how soon do you think you'll do it?
I'd leave that up to the chairman. I think that they know that he's not going to be taking this lightly, and that he's tired of waiting. Yeah. And I think the Democrats on the other side of the aisle tried to show that they were trying to close up this little thing, saying it's neatly put together. It's sad, absolutely sad that that's where they tried to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, you're from Arizona. What do you hear from your constituents about this?
They're furious. This doesn't have a Republican side. It doesn't have a Democratic side or an independent side. It's got an American side. And Jenny, I've talked in Las Vegas. I've talked in California. I've talked in New Mexico. I've talked in Colorado and Utah. Everywhere I go and I speak about it, even in North Carolina and Florida, everybody, when they hear it, goes, "Oh my God, you've got to be kidding!" They just can't believe it.
And I mean, it really hasn't been covered the way it should be.
Absolutely not. I mean, if it haven't been for news outlets like NRA News and the Daily Caller, special people that keep putting this on their list and pushing the issue, we wouldn't have any of this out.
But don't you think Holder really played the administration's hand yesterday when he was sitting there talking about, hey, we support the assault weapons ban. We know it would make a difference with what's going on in Mexico.
He did, and he's done it before because he said it in the Judiciary committee meeting that if we had better gun laws, we wouldn't have this problem. Are you kidding me? And then he's also played the race card. He before Christmas basically had said that the only reason people are after me is the color of my skin is the same as the president. And we answered back, you got to be kidding me. Tell that to the Mexican people. Tell that to the Arizona people. You got a problem with them? Yeah. How about our law enforcement on the ground? He tried to bring that thing up again as well.
They can come up with the excuses and they can blame everybody. The Bush comes up there, with the wide receiver. They don't know what responsibility is. They don't take it. And you really, when you look at it, don't you think this ought to become a campaign issue out there?
It should be. And here's something very interesting. I think you just hit on it, Jenny, is that, he sure knew all this information about Operation Wide Receiver, but nothing about Operation Fast and Furious. Are you kidding me? Yeah. You don't read your memos, or what do you read? And then, a very disjointed guy with process. Very, very disjointed with process.
Yeah, he doesn't know what the word accountability means, I don't think, at this
Absolutely
point.
Not, but he's sure going to find out shortly.
Yeah.